Can you actually get a mortgage in Costa Rica? Today, we're going to answer that question. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, Sarah Breitlander here with Krain Luxury Real Estate, and today we are going to try to answer the age-old question, can you even get a mortgage in Costa Rica? Today I'm here with Mr. Zach K. Welcome, Zach.
Thanks, Sarah.
And he's going to help us answer that question. So, number one, can you actually get a mortgage in Costa Rica?
Yes, you can actually get a mortgage in Costa Rica.
Okay, great. Film's over. Great. Have a great day. No, thank you. Thank you for answering that question. I wanted to dispel that myth right away and just say thanks so much for doing this video with us. You're actually the first video we're doing in our new Potrero office.
Well, I'm honored to be the first.
Yes. So I'm excited to have you. We did have Zach once before and really got a lot of positive comments from you, our viewers, that this was super helpful. So thank you for coming back. And on this video, I just want to talk about the concept and how that works. So you say, yes, you can get a mortgage in Costa Rica. Tell us how and how you know that.
Yes. So I know for a fact that you can get a mortgage in Costa Rica because my company has given out close to over 100 mortgages in just the past 12 months.
I was going to say already.
Yeah. So we have brought for the first time a true traditional US style mortgage here to Costa Rica, and real clients every single day are taking them out from us so they can get into the home they've always wanted to have here.
That's wonderful. That's amazing. Tell me a little bit about your background, because I think you have a very interesting story and how you kind of brought that to Costa Rica.
Yeah, so before starting my company, I was an investor on Wall Street. I used to work for one of the largest and oldest hedge funds in the world called Elliott Management. I was one of about 150 investors in the US managing a $70 billion investment fund.
Wow.
And when I was working at that fund, I had looked into buying property in Costa Rica and talked to an agent here, one locally. Unfortunately, I don't think it was you, but I was talking to someone locally and they told me, no, you can't get a loan here. They actually looked at me like I was crazy. And that's what led me to go out and search to say, well, why is that the case? I wanted to understand why that wasn't possible, because to me, it was an interesting capital markets question. So I went out, did the research, started to learn the why, and then thought, you know what, this might be the kind of problem that with my background, I could actually solve.
Yeah.
And so in 2023, I left my job. I started trying to put together the right investors for a platform like this. And it was not fast. It took me until 2024 to actually get that done. But today our company is backed by a publicly listed US mortgage lender to do what we do here in Costa Rica.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And from my perspective, there's such an incredibly huge need for that. And no one has been able to fill that need in the market until you came along. And I think that's great. And I do think, just in the interest of full disclosure, you do have, there's another entity down here that does that. So I like the fact that there's at least a little healthy competition in the area, because I think that keeps us all on their game. But I will say we have personally had clients that have worked with Zach and his team very successfully. So I think the realtor community in general is very grateful that you're here. I know we are, and our clients are, because I really think in the past 2 years, we've had clients realize dreams who, without your company's assistance, I don't think they would have been able to do it because they didn't have other options, right? So thank you. Thank you for telling us how you know this and why. And so let me ask you, who can apply for these mortgages? And how is that different from the normal rule down here that cash is king, right?
Yes.
I always say, and you'll hear other realtors say, cash is king. You're coming this is a cash market. You need to bring cash from the US or Canada or where you're from, because that's the majority of the market here. What do you say to that?
So to that, I would say that was true, and it's been true for the past 30 years because there was no financing option to be had. You know, cash was king, a kingdom of one, basically,
right,
is how I might describe it.
Right.
But now, you know, if you're someone who could qualify for a mortgage in the US today, you could probably qualify for a mortgage from us today.
Mm-hmm.
So we use the same qualifications any lender in the US would be using to look at a client's profile, And we have, tons of people who are, would be successful borrowers in the US are also successful borrowers here with us in Costa Rica. But, that old paradigm of cash being king is shifting now that you do have a true US style mortgage that's here in Costa Rica, really for the first time. And so I would say that the buying process here in Costa Rica is at the very beginning of starting to normalize to what you would really see in the United States. In the US, 4 out of 5 home purchases every single year are financed.
Right.
Even when you look at the second home market in the United States, a majority of second homes are actually still financed every single year.
That's very
And some of these are not even just because people need to finance to be able to get into something. For a lot of people, it's just the smart thing to do.
For sure.
Right? People see the, portfolio optimization and tax advantages of getting a loan. And all of those things are as true in the United States as they are here in Costa Rica.
I agree. And I think, you'd mentioned it's making the process even more similar to the way it is in the United States. Many of you may already know, but the buying process here is very similar. I always say it's very similar to what you would expect in the United States or Canada, which is why my clients love it. But there are 2 differences, I always say, and one of those 2 differences is cash is usually king, or you have to bring your financing from Canada, the US, and of course there are ways to do that. So this is just it's already very similar, and with this, it's just almost really comparing apples to apples, and I love that because it just helps the comfort level.
You're gonna have to stop saying cash is king, Sarah.
I know. It just flows so naturally. I don't know how I'm gonna do that.
It sounds
But
good.
I love it because, like I said, it just makes it more accessible, and that's always been one, not complaint, but one kind of downside, I think, of working down here is I love to make people's dreams come true. It's an honor to do what we do. And I've always not sit easy with the fact that sometimes this is only attainable for people that have a certain amount of wealth acquired, and there are 2 things that remedy that. One, what I call entry-level homes, which I love that, anyone, can maybe come up with this amount of cash. And the other is financing, So I love that. It just makes it more accessible to people.
And I would say something I would add to that is for a lot of people, it brings forward when in your life you could actually do something like this. For a lot of people, if you're in your, let's say late 20s, getting into your 30s, you might have means, but you're still in that earning part of your career where, you might not have the cash that you need to go get that second home and start building that lifestyle that you really want for you and your family. But now that you can access financing, you can bring forward that purchase by 10, 15 years and actually start living that lifestyle that you want for your family later now, and also get in at a better cost basis. Because look, I'm sure that your clients who bought with you here in Costa Rica 10, 15, 20 years ago are a lot happier that they bought then than now. And so when you're thinking about when do I want to buy something in Costa Rica and, should I wait to save to be able to pay cash or should I finance and buy today? There could be a real cost to waiting.
Right.
And so you can bring forward that purchase now, get in at that better cost basis. And, not wait to start living your life.
Just like buying a house when you start to raise a family. You don't want to have to wait until you're 50 to do that. I agree 100%. Okay, so who can apply, right? You don't need Costa Rican residency to apply for a mortgage here, correct?
No, absolutely not.
Wonderful. So what kind of residency do you need? What kind of clients do you work with? Who should apply?
So our company works with U.S. citizens, U.S. permanent residents. So you could have any citizenship, but have a green card in the United States.
Yes, many of my Canadian clients meet that requirement.
Yes, and Canadian citizens as well.
Okay.
So those are kind of the 3 categories of people that we can work with.
Amazing. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we know who can apply. What type of buyers do you work with and what kind of properties are they looking for?
It's a great question. So I would say that the most common type of buyer that we see, it's not actually a retirement buyer. I would call them a pre-retirement buyer. This is someone who's anywhere from maybe 5 to 15 years away from retiring.
Yes.
But they want to get the home in Costa Rica now. And for the next 5 to 15 years, this is going to be a second home for them. It's going to be a retreat for them and their family. It's going to be a place where they come to relax. And when they're not there, they're probably renting it out and earning some income on the side, offsetting the carrying cost of that property.
What you just described is our prime client. Exactly. So I agree with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Carry on. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, and then I would say that person, by the time that they retire, this is now an option to be their primary residence.
Right.
And so they're buying that option today. They're using it as a rental. They're using it as a vacation home. And then if and when they feel they're ready, a lot of the times this becomes their primary residence eventually.
Yeah. And a lot of my clients will buy, and this is even before you came to the market. If as long as they had enough money, a nest egg, they would buy because they were like, I know I want to retire somewhere. I think it's here, but at least somewhere. And I don't want to wait 7 years because I don't think I'm going to be able to afford it.
Yeah.
So they buy now knowing that they probably can't afford it in the future. And so now with the financing option on top of that, I'm sure that is definitely a client of yours. Okay. And that makes sense. You can rent out your homes here as Airbnb rentals. Are there any kind of restrictions on how they use the home? Do they move here full time? Can they use it as an investment? Any restrictions like that we need to know about?
All of those things are fine with us. So if you're getting a loan with our company, you can use that loan to buy a property. We also have clients, by the way, who refinance. So think about people who bought a home here years ago and either as a primary residence or a second home or an investment and have all of this equity that's appreciated over time that they can't access to do anything with. They can access that now. So I would say that's other common type of client that we see is not even a buyer. It's actually an existing owner here in Costa Rica who is now tapping their home equity with a loan from our company.
Okay, excellent. And what types of deals are being financed? So homes, what about land?
Yeah, so today we don't lend on land. So I failed to answer your question about what you can do with the loan from us. So besides buy or refinance, you can use the home as a primary residence.
Okay.
You can use it as a second home, and you can use it as an Airbnb short-term rental.
Right.
All of those things are absolutely fine.
Excellent.
The only thing that you can't do is use it as a commercial property.
Okay.
So, for example, if you want to turn your property into a functioning hotel where you have single occupancy, that's not going to work.
Okay.
That's commercial.
Fair enough.
But as long as you're buying residential property and using it as residential property, it doesn't matter if it's a primary, second home, or short-term rental, all of that's fine.
I love that. I love that flexibility. And another thing that my clients say, I don't know if you've heard this, but they'll buy and or maybe one will get, is this our forever home? And the other one will be like, it doesn't need to be our forever home. It just needs to be working for us right now. So we do have a lot of pre-retirement people who will buy in 7 years, and they're not even for sure in 7 years if they're even they think they're gonna love Costa Rica, but you never know. Or if they're gonna need a 2-bedroom condo, if they're gonna need a bigger house, or if they buy a big house, if they're gonna need to downsize, but their money's in the market, right? I mean, that's the whole point.
Yep.
You get your money in the market, and then of course you can upgrade, downgrade, or adjust along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's great about using financing is you get a level of flexibility that you wouldn't have had otherwise to design your lifestyle the way that you want it. So, for example, we have a client who I actually don't know who she is because she was making these comments on Reddit, so it was anonymous.
Okay.
But she was saying that, she said she had a great experience with our company, which I was proud of.
That's
but
good.
She also said something else, which I thought was interesting. She said that, she had been waiting to buy in Costa Rica to sell her property in North Carolina for her and her family.
Okay.
Now that she was able to get financing with Second Street, not only was she able to bring forward the purchase to just do it now because she didn't have to wait to get proceeds from the home in North Carolina,
right?
She was able to keep her home in North Carolina. She didn't have to make this big disruptive change to her life. And her and her family didn't even really want to sell it. They just felt they needed to do it to afford the property here.
For sure.
And now they can actually just have both. And that's for them, a much more comfortable status quo that we were able to help them achieve.
Right.
So it gives you a lot more flexibility, not just financially, but just to design the life that you actually want to have.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so we talked about who can kind of qualify for a loan, what types of properties they can buy down here in Costa Rica. So And please, by all means, drop us a note, call in, and I'm happy to actually make a personal introduction to Zach and his company. That's usually how the conversation starts, right? Our clients are with us. We're like, ooh, did you know financing was an option? No, I had no idea financing was an option. And then we introduce them to you, other options, so they can get a feel for the lay of the land. But what kind of documents do they even need to start gathering probably before they reach out to you? What do they need?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So before you reach out to us to just have a conversation or ask questions, you really don't need to have anything. Our team is always here to answer whatever it is that you or one of your clients wants to know something about. We're here to be informational and educational. But when you're ready to actually get an application in because you want to start the pre-approval process, that's when you're going to want to have some documents prepared.
Okay.
So the things that your clients will want ready in that scenario, it's really the same documents that a U.S. mortgage lender would be asking you for. We're going to need documents to validate your income, your assets, and your identity. Those are really going to be the primary things. Okay. So for your income, we're going to be asking you for tax returns. So you should have the past 2 years of your tax returns ready. Okay. For assets, we're going to be looking, usually it's primarily bank statements, but if you have a lot of your assets in a brokerage account or in a retirement account, you can share those with us as well, is usually helpful. Okay. And then for identity, it's the basics. It's your ID, your passport, nothing really too complicated there. And then for your credit, that's not something your clients really have to do anything to prepare for. When they submit an application with us, we do a soft pull of their credit on our side. The client doesn't have to do anything. And it's just a soft pull of their credit, so it will never impact their credit report or the credit score. It just helps us know where their credit is without impacting the report at all. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And I like that you touched upon the pre-approval letter, because that's always what we are looking for, and just same as you had mentioned, Zach, information gathering is fine. I just had a client, Pete and I were on a call with the client the other day, and he apologized at the beginning. He's like, I don't really know what I want. And I'm kind of like, I'm sorry. And I was like, why are you apologizing? There is no wrong answer. Yeah. I understand that a lot of clients are in the exploratory phase. That's why we're here. There's no wrong, there's no dumb question, whatever the saying is. So we welcome that. But part of this conversation is, are you considering, are you even able to buy with cash? If you are able, is that what you would like to do? Do you want to explore financing options? So we walk down that road together. Once they decide, okay, they're leaning toward the financing option, we want that pre-approval letter before we, let's say, go out to showings. Because what will happen if you don't have that, first of all, you don't know what you're looking for, is the biggest thing. We don't exactly know what our price point is that we're shopping for. And then, you don't want to be in a situation where you're out looking at homes and you're home shopping and you fall in love with the home, you and your significant other, and you can't get your ducks in a row fast enough and it goes to someone else. That can be heartbreak central. So I'm glad you kind of mentioned that. And along that same vein, and what documents you need, what does the time period look like más o menos, more or less, as we say here in Costa Rica, from the time they start a conversation with you to the time, let's say, that they could close a home? Ballpark, what does that look like?
So generally, I would say that all of our transactions take place, if you're talking day one to closing, within 45 days or less, which is a pretty typical timeline for what you'd see in the United States.
It is.
And I would generally call fairly fast for Costa Rica.
It's very Pura Vida-like. Yes. I mean, if you're in Costa Rica, you need to slow down.
Yeah. We'll slow down a lot of things, except how quickly we get your closing to happen.
That's mine and Pete and the company's motto. It's like, yes, outside of the office, we slow down and enjoy our Pura Vida, but in the office, we're working for our clients.
And to give you a sense of how long different parts of the process take, I would really split up the process with our company into two parts. Okay. The first part is going to be that pre-approval, which is really an evaluation of your client as a borrower, determining how much they can borrow from us, with no regards to what property they might be buying. They probably don't even have a house picked out yet.
Correct.
So that pre-approval phase can be really fast. Really, that timeline is only driven by how quickly the client can get us a completed application and get us their documents.
Right. Okay.
If that takes 2 weeks, pre-approval will take about 2 weeks.
Yeah. But it's dependent on the client.
Exactly. Okay. But from when they actually get us their application and get us the documents that we requested, it usually takes us about 1 to 2 business days to review and get a response back to the client. if we're able to get to an approval with what we were given in that first round of documents, you've got a pre-approval letter in your inbox in 1 to 2 days.
Yeah.
And we've had some where client did have a house picked out already and they needed a rush on it. We've had same-day pre-approvals take place before.
Yeah.
If you have a really complicated financial profile, let's say you're a business owner with a ton of different interests all over the place, a complicated tax return, realistically, it will take a little bit longer, but we're talking days longer, not weeks or months longer.
Okay.
Which I think, for people who've tried to maybe go to a local bank or something in the past is kind of more what you would expect.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much. And this is going to be part 1 of our series to just figure out, can you even get a mortgage here in Costa Rica? And if this kind of thing interests you, we are going to do another show where we dive into the details and we talk interest rates and we talk, precise timelines, what can hold up a deal, the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to financing. So stay tuned for that. Zach, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming.
Pleasure.
Yep,
Thank
absolutely. Ciao for now and pura vida.
Pura vida.